Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be breaking down the Tier 4 Italian battleship Cavour. We got Pablo right now, Scharnhorst, and Kedrov. That's a build from the Roma and Giulio Cesare, the Giulio Tier 4 Premium. The Tier 4 Cesare, very good. The Roma, that's alright. But neither of those particular ships have the secondary, the SAP secondaries that's been introduced with these tech tree battleships. And word on the street is the stronger or the higher the tier, the stronger the SAP secondary builds are going to be. So potentially we'll be looking at using Pablo for some of the ships, and then maybe this new Azure Lane Commander that's actually coming out today. By the time you guys are watching this and it's published, the next batch of the Azure Lane Commanders will be available. I'm going to take a day and kind of break those down, and we'll try and get some coverage of that tomorrow. I was thinking about maybe doing a preview just on the blog posts that they put out on them, but rather than take a superficial look at them, I want to get home tomorrow, or tonight rather, and test some of them out, and then I'll give you more in-depth thoughts as I've played around with the commanders a little bit. I'll tell you which ones I'm expecting to be good, but I know a lot of the people are looking at the Italian battleship Azure Lane Commander as potentially valuable that's the accuracy option. Now, if you played the Roma, the Cesare, the Tier 4, or the Tier 7 and Tier 4 respectively, you know the guns can be a little bit wonky, the accuracy from time to time. And same with these guys, these tech tree ships. Sometimes you can get some decent shots here, and we're waiting for this squishy Kuma to be coming around here. Speaking of looking for some good shots, love shooting these low tier cruisers. Of course, Kuma's one of the squishier cruisers you're going to come across. And shots away down range on him. Don't quite get the dev strike, but we rattle his cage for sure, and we're going to let the team finish him off. But getting back to the commanders, potentially, we might want to have multiple commanders if we have access to the Azure lane. That's my early thoughts on this, because the secondaries, as we go up the tech tree, those are going to be stronger and stronger. Of course, they're the SAP secondaries, and we're hoping that the SAP shells will be introduced into the main guns as time goes on. My personal thoughts, at least, are they're kind of testing out the mechanic with these secondaries, seeing how they perform, and then maybe putting them on the main guns a little bit further down the line. We've been asking for them on the cruisers, now the battleships, and I think that's my own thoughts. I haven't heard any info, of course, but I would expect that that's what they're attempting to do here. So, anyways, I'm not going to commit to a build yet until we have access to both commanders and I get further up the tech tree and we see how viable those secondaries are. Now, here I'm trying to get away with one. We got the pod over there. I'm trying to get into a position where we can get him. I'm also trying to get further south here. I want to be basically on the equator of this map. Okay, then we got all these flanking shots into the red team who's kind of hovering behind A, and that could be a very powerful position. But to get there, we had to cross over the Ganget, I believe, is line of control here, and we did lose half the health. Okay, now you'll note on these battleships we got a lot of heals laying around. Now I do have a high level Pablo that we get in a couple extra heals, but I think base you would probably have 4 to start with, and then we're getting a couple more for 6 total. There we whiff a shot on the pod, unfortunately, hoping that the team will be able to take him out, and he's getting some shots going his way, so that's good. Now, but as we pull forward here, now we're kind of protected behind this island from those battleships. Pod taking more shots, and we're about to reload here. Now, because someone on our team is shooting him and doing a great job taking him down, I'm going to concede the pod kill anyways. Now, he goes down before we're actually reloaded, but broadside Ganget, that's a very hard to damage ship if it's angled, and when we get in access to the broadside like we had there, want to go ahead and score some big damage whenever possible. So if nobody on the team is shooting the pod, of course, we have to shoot the destroyer, which is much more valuable strategically. But, since the team was being responsible, shooting the destroyer, then we don't care about the kills. We're going to try and take the best shot. And that's kind of the mentality you want to have with battleships. If you're only reloading every 30 seconds or so, don't get the tunnel vision. Don't say to yourself, well, I've been shooting this guy downrange for so long, I got to keep shooting at him. Well, if there's something better, and you want to be checking the map, always looking for these broadsides, looking for the destroyers. When you're seeing those opportunities, then you need to change your focus and go ahead and switch the target. Now, coming around here, Emily. Now, this is a tough cruiser for battleships to deal damage to. It's not quite as difficult as the Doogie. I think at Tier 3, a lot of you guys were saying that was your ship of choice at the Tier 3 1v1 ranks. And I thought that was a pretty good pick. We didn't end up playing that one. I played the Arkansas FE. But Emily, you can have some damage, some overpen, trouble with that one. But we got a pretty nice shot on him to take him low. He's trying to turn around like the Kuma, trying to get behind that island. He recognizes, all right, I don't need battleships shooting at me. That's when we're in trouble. But we check, and we notice that that little white triangle icon wasn't on the screen. That means the shells, according to the game, are projected to go over the island cover. And because of that, we did fire the shot, and the Emily now dead. So, 38,000 HP on our ship. We're already closing in on 60, so we're not quite... we're trying to double our ship's HP at this point in time. Here's another juicy shot, Cavour. Now, we're blocked by that island, most likely, but we're waiting for these crossfires to develop. I'm looking on the map at this point in time, like seeing, okay, where's the battleships? And then the battleship there just died, but he was also coming our way, and that was a little disappointing to me because we really did spend a lot of our playmaking currency, the HP of the ship, to get over into this position, and then to have the other battleship, rather than move away or stay at least a couple squares away, to have him close in here, eliminating the crossfire, that kind of just nullifies the sacrifice. So, unfortunately, goes down anyways. And now we're going to kind of get flushed here because we don't want to be getting into a crossfire of our own. We're directly angled to the battleship south of us, but we do need to turn away because he just shot. And now the other Cavour here, you can see we're trying to angle and minimize the damage here. And, you know, we got to get away from these ships. The further away from them we are, the more success we can have angling towards both of them. But now we're forced to engage this Cavour because that's the side our guns are on. And if we want to turn around and hit the ship that is behind us, well, of course, then we're going to be perfectly broadside to the Cavour over there. So whatever, you know, basically which side your guns are on dictates which ship you are engaging. And since the guns are kind of pointing to the left-hand side of the screen, we engage the targets left to right, okay? You can always make the decision, okay, I'm going to flip the guns around, but you can't change the angling. Or you definitely don't want to aim by turning and just to take a shot at that Ganget or whatever's back there. We'd already be dead if that was the case. We're going to be communicating with destroyer here, and surprisingly for a low-tier destroyer who's kind of seems to be hell-bent on torping things, he actually is going to be reacting very well here. Okay, we're going to be pinging A. We'll even ping him from time to time, kind of suggesting, okay, you A. It's kind of like if you're talking to a dog, if you can't communicate directly using the commands built into the game. Very simplistic system. But either he comes to the realization on his own, or he's getting the idea from the commands. Okay, A is important, because now we're down caps, 2-1. We were briefly up in score there, but you can see 3 ships per side, 1 carrier, 1 battleship, 1 destroyer. So even distribution here. But the longer they have the double cap, then the more forced we are to kill every ship. And that removes one of the win conditions. We want to be able to win on points or kill all the enemy ships. Okay, so keep those options alive. Luckily, the destroyer, great job recognizing that, going into A. Even if the enemy destroyer still is on A, and like right there, it says it's contested. So he's still on the cap. But that's fine. That freezes the score. Now, the score in the background is frozen. Or 3 points behind, but if I can kill this Ganget, which is the expectation, especially with the carrier nuking him, then we will be up, okay, by 97 points, in fact. So, because we got him shooting torps, we go over and switch HE, and also the Ganget angled against us. We can't really damage that ship with any sort of reliability at that angle, and he's pointed mostly at us. So, switch over to the HE, trying to hope that the torpedo bomber got a flood that he damaged Khan, then we'll get a fire or 2 and burn him that way. Or we'll just let the torpedo bomber get him, and then we'll use the HE on the destroyer, okay? So these are one of the situations, if you watch me play a lot of battleships, you'll see I usually keep the AP in there. But in that situation, the HE was the correct shell for both possible targets, potentially. Okay, now here comes the Shenyang. We already got the HE loaded. He dropped spout right away, but we did get the shot off quickly. And check out the damage. Oh boy, 5 hits, couple fires, and look at the health now. He's low. We got him on the run. Even the Mutsuki, I think our destroyer over there, he could even gun him down. Even if we happen to get bombed by the planes here or whatever, and we got removed somehow. I think the destroyer and certainly the carrier could combine to take him out. So, pretty big shot there. Now we're going to keep the HE in here on the carriers. Now, you never know with these low-tier carriers. I don't play the... I don't know. I mean, it seems like sometimes you can really damage them with HE, sometimes with AP. Maybe if I played more carrier, I would figure out the armor scheme, or figure out what kind of guns are more dangerous. I don't know, but you just never know when you're shooting these things. So I'm going to keep the HE in there. We're going to see, you know, number one, does the carrier show up? Number two, what angles are you looking at? And then we're going to test out different shells if we even are able to get them. But you can see right now we're kind of locked in at 87,000 HP, and that means we've done over double our ship's HP, and that's a good score for battleships conceptually. Basically, we were alluding to this earlier. There's two ways to win. Either you win on scores due to controlling the caps, or you reduce the team's HP, the red team's HP, all the way down to 0. Okay, so if we want to conceptualize it roughly, there's going to be two battleships that have, you know, roughly the same amount of HP on their team as we do. And since we've done over double that, we've basically killed two battleships worth of ships on the enemy team, and we're still alive. But even if we died here, they would kill one for the two that we've removed. Okay, now it wasn't all damage on battleship, and the less damage you do against the battleships, the more against destroyers, cruisers, the more valuable that damage actually is. It's not healable, and it's a bigger percentage of those ships' HP, of course, but you get the point. Okay, we've done our job, we've paid our way, we've covered the entry fee. I always say if you've done your ship's HP and damage, at least you're not a net loss on your team. So that's kind of a good goal. I think it's most applicable for battleships, least applicable for destroyers, who they need to be way more focused on capturing bases and spotting and removing enemy destroyers. Okay, so yeah, getting some damage while you're doing all those things is nice, but that's kind of the least of your concern as a destroyer. But battleship, I think it's a fair metric as to how you've done in that particular game. So here's the Langley. He's backing up. He's on the board, on the edge of the board, I should say. And we did switch over to the AP, so we'll test the shot out over here, assuming we ever get to him here. But Cavour, my thoughts on the ship overall, it's kind of a stepping stone. I thought the Tier 3 was pretty decent. I actually thought the Tier 3 did pretty well in the 1v1s and ranked. So that one might be comparatively more strong for the tier. Cavour, I just kind of find it to be kind of a middle of the pack battleship. It doesn't really send a thrill up my leg, but it's not horrible either. You could definitely have some decent games in the Cavour. So, like I say, we'll continue the coverage of the Italian battleships in the coming days. We're going to be taking a look at the Azure Lane commanders. And then once we get access to both of the Italian battleship commanders, we'll do some testing and we'll see which builds are actually going to be the best for this line. So stay tuned for all that. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and slap that. Hit the bell notification. That'll allow you to keep up to date with all the information coming. And if you also enjoyed the video, please hit the like. That also helps with the YouTube algorithm. All right, guys. Have a good one. Peace.